Well, I think they should raise rates.
Okay.
I don't know
Will
if we
they?
can handle 2%. I've thrown my hands up to what the Fed's going to do. They've changed the rules so many times. I'm sure they'll figure out another excuse to not raise rates. I thought they should have raised rates a year ago, but that's a different story. They should raise rates. I keep hearing about, oh, there's no inflation. Well, we have to separate commodity inflation and services inflation. Their easy money created the excess capacity that created the drop in commodity prices. So to then now use low commodity prices as an excuse not to raise rates,
you've become a self-fulfilling zero interest rate policy.
They're in this feedback loop they can't get out of, and it's time that somebody steps up and tries to get out of it.
Yeah, okay. And so, Tim, would you agree with that viewpoint that, and we argued the other day on the air that inflation, as the Fed measures it, maybe it's kind of an outdated thing, because with the global and commodity deflationary aspect, I'm not sure we're ever going to see the inflation numbers the Fed would like to.
Well, certainly not in the short term, but as the economy continues to improve, we should expect to see some inflation towards the end of this year, but really picking up in the second half of 2016.
What does the Fed do next or in 2 weeks, and do you care, Tim?
Well, in the long-term investor, we really shouldn't care. But I think what we learned from Jackson Hole Conference last weekend, really, Brian, is that the Fed wants to raise rates. They really want to get that first rate hike behind them. They want to do it, and they want to do it now. And so I think the only thing we as investors can do is assume that they're going to raise rates in September at the next meeting. And there's really only two things that can stop that right now. If the data between now and then is very soft, then that could stop them, and it's not. It's basically ho-hum, middle of the road. It's neither too strong nor too soft, but it's certainly not an excuse not to raise. And secondly, is if markets really drive off a cliff at this point, which they have not yet,
no.
But if they were, then perhaps for financial stability reasons, they would not raise. But other than that, we would assume that they'll raise.
Okay, Peter, I want to change topics a little bit because what's going on in Europe. And the European economy has been recovering as a whole, and some of the austerity issues are getting behind it. But we know what's happening with the migrant crisis. And, I mean, it's devastating from a human toll. Is there an economic toll to this? I mean, could this plunge Europe back into its problems? Or could it help Europe in a way? Because you're going to have to stimulate to pay for housing and food. And they look at that. They need to help these people. They're literally children washing up on beaches.
No, I agree. I mean, from an immigration standpoint, this is an aging region. So by bringing in more people, yes, over time, that can be a good thing. In the short term, it's more of a humanitarian crisis rather than an economic one, and we have to see how they deal with them. If they spread a lot of these people out through many different countries, I think it'll end up being okay. It's very hard to quantify what the economic impact is, and I'm not even going to try to attempt to right now.
No, but we were talking about this off air with my team here, and I thought this could become the biggest economic story. Now, it's a humanitarian story, obviously,
right,
first and foremost, but it could become a huge economic story as well.
Potentially,
Peter,
no question.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much, Tim Hopper. Have a great weekend.